Hello and welcome back to Bits and Bobs. Today we're seeing how many monarchs the Bits and Bobs team have in our entire collection altogether.
So we'll start with King Charles III, the current monarch, and go back all the way to William the Conqueror, or whichever monarch is closest.
So then, the first and current monarch is King Charles III, as we can see here. Now the way this video will work is I will show you my coin of that monarch. As you can see here, my King Charles III coin I've entered is a 2024 2p. That's my one. Then we'll look at Charles's, and then we'll look at Max's, and then move on to the next monarch. So here we go. Let's begin now with my King Charles III, and then move on to theirs.
I have a Charles III, nice 1 ounce coin. It is the Royal Arms for 2023. Very nice coin and a bit of silver.
For my Charles III coin, here we have a 50p piece from 2024.
So the next monarch back is Queen Elizabeth II. Here is one coin from her reign. This is a year 2000 British penny. That is the one I've entered from my collection. Let's see if Charles and Max also have an Elizabeth II coin.
For my next coin and my next monarch, which is Elizabeth II, we have this £5 coin with the Queen on it.
Moving on to my Elizabeth II coin. Here we have the Christmas sixpence from 2022.
Next up is King George VI. Here is my King George VI coin. This is a 1948 half crown.
From George the 6th. Nice little 3p here from Australia. So 1943. Nice quick bit of silver.
For my George VI coin, we have another sixpence from 1945.
Next up is King George V. Here is my King George V coin, and this is a 1931 half crown.
And then from George V, I have a sixpence. Very nice sixpence from 1933. Nice bit of silver and quite good quality in my opinion.
For my George V coin, here we have a half sovereign from 1914.
Next up is King Edward VII. Here is my King Edward VII coin. This is a 1905 florin from King Edward VII's reign.
Moving on to Edward VII, I have one of my favourite designs in coins. It is a florin or 2 shillings. He's standing or walking Britannia from 1904. You can just make out the 4. And here is Edward VII.
Edward VII Contessa, this is a 1903 standing Britannia, my only standing Britannia in my collection.
Next up is Queen Victoria. Here is my Queen Victoria coin. This is an 1849 godless florin. And of course that is a coin from the reign of Queen Victoria.
To Queen Victoria, I have a shilling from 1899. Nice design with Queen Victoria.
And for my Victoria, I have this very nice farthing from the year of 1899.
Next up is King William IV. Here is my King William IV entry to the video in the form of an 1834 half crown, a lovely coin, and a William IV coin.
So moving on, we have William IV, a bit of a nicer coin. It is a half crown from, if we turn it over, 1834. Now the design is a bit worn out, but it's still a nice coin and a lovely example of William IV.
For my William IV Contessa, I have this. This is a William IV half crown from 1836.
Next up is King George IV. Here is my King George IV coin, a lovely 1821 crown, with that portrait there of the next monarch in line, King George IV.
George IV, we have here a lovely coin. What is it? It's a sixpence from 1829. A nice example of George IV and a lovely coin.
My George IV. This is another half crown from 1821.
Next up we have King George III. As we can see here, this is my King George III coin. This is a cartwheel 2 pence, so a lovely coin. And there is King George III.
George III with a sixpence. This is a lovely design of a sixpence, and it is bullhead version of George III.
For my George III coin, here we have a 1819 crown.
Continuing the line of Georges, next up is King George II. Here is my King George II coin in the form of this lovely 1739 shilling. And there is King George II.
So here we have George II, a lovely example of a shilling. Sorry, this is hold, which is a bit of a shame, but a lovely, lovely coin and a lovely example of George II.
Here we have a 1758 shilling.
Next up is King George I, and here he is. This is King George I. For my coin, a 1723 shilling with George I.
We have a lovely shilling again with a lovely example. Yet again, it is hold, but what can you do with this lovely example of a coin?
George I. This is a 1723 shilling.
The next monarch is Queen Anne. Here is my Queen Anne coin. We can see her there to the obverse. This coin is a 1713 threepence. And there we have Queen Anne.
Queen Anne. You can see the lips. It's a threepence from 1706, sorry. Lovely quality. I remember the very day I got this coin. Very nice coin.
For my Queen Anne coin, this is a 1709 shilling.
Next up is King William III. Here is my King William III coin, and we can see here a lovely 1696 half crown as my entry for a William III coin.
So for my entry for William III, it's a very poor example of a coin. You can just see the 97. Yeah, that's my entry. Luckily, Max and Ethan both have better designs.
For King William III, this is a shilling from the year 1697.
Next up is the joint monarchs, William and Mary. Here is my William and Mary coin in this 1694 halfpenny with that double portrait there of William and Mary.
William and Mary. Lovely, lovely, lovely coin. It is, I'm the proud owner of this half crown. Is it half crown? I believe it's half crown. Yeah. Half crown from the grand year of 1693. It is a bit rubbed out in the centre, but it is a very nice example and a lovely example of William and Mary.
My William and Mary coin. This is a halfpenny from the year 1694.
Next up is King James II. Here is my King James II coin. This is a 1687 Maundy 2 pence. And there is King James II.
For my James II coin, here we have a lovely 1687 Maundy 3 pence.
Next up is King Charles II. Here is my King Charles II coin in the form of this lovely 1662 crown. And there he is, King Charles II.
I have this amazing Absolutely amazing early milled coin. What is it we're asking? It's a penny. A lovely example of a penny and a very nice coin.
Here we have a 1677 Maundy twopence. Unfortunately, it has been hulled, but still very lovely coin.
Next up is King Charles I. Here is my King Charles I coin, where you can just about see the sort of silhouette of King Charles I. And this is a 1600s Charles I sixpence for my Charles I entry.
We have a halfpenny gifted to me from the Hammered Corner. Very nice coin, and a very small coin at that.
And for my Charles I coin, this is a very beaten up hammered coin, but this is a penny.
Next up is King James I. We can see here a lovely James I coin for my entry. This is a shilling of James I, and there he is, King James I.
Here we have this amazing coin from 1606. It's a shilling, and it is in absolutely amazing condition. You can see the collar and the patterns on his shirt / his formal wear and his crown, and it's an absolute amazing addition to my coin collection that I'm very happy to own.
Next up is Queen Elizabeth I. Here is my Elizabeth I entry. This is an Elizabeth I half groat. As we can see here, for the next monarch along, back in time, we now come to Elizabeth I.
Liz 1 is 1566 sixpence, a coin we all know and love.
For my Elizabeth I contester, this is a 1564 sixpence.
Next up we have Queen Mary I. We can see here my Queen Mary I coin, with a lovely portrait of her on this groat from her reign. But there we go, there is Mary I.
Here we have the Queen Mary coin. It's a lovely groat from Bloody Mary, a great example of Queen Mary and this monarch.
Next up is King Edward VI, which none of us have. Before that, carrying on, the next one up is King Henry VIII. Here is my King Henry VIII coin. We can see there his famous portrait to the obverse of this Henry VIII silver penny as my King Henry VIII coin. Next up is King Henry VII. Here is my King Henry VII coin with a lovely facing bust of King Henry VII on this half-groat coin. And there we are, King Henry VII.
Here's a penny, and it's a great example. It's the sovereign penny, as we found out on the hammered coin video. So a very nice example of a sovereign penny.
Next up is King Richard III, but none of us have any Richard III coins. Then before that, the next one would be Edward V, but again, none of us have any Edward V coins. Which brings us then on to Edward IV. And here we have an Edward IV penny. This is my entry. An absolutely terrible coin, but this is an Edward IV penny, so I do have a coin from this monarch.
For my next coin, here we have an Edward IV groat.
Next up is King Henry VI. We can see here the portrait of King Henry VI featuring here on a halfpenny from his reign. So there is my Henry VI coin.
A Henry VI penny is a leaf pellet one. It's in a bit of a worse shape for wear. It's a long cross penny, long cross design, but very nice again.
Next up we have King Henry V, and we can just about see here my coin, his portrait there to the obverse, and the design there to the reverse. This is a penny from the reign of King Henry V, the next monarch back in time. Next up is King Henry IV, but none of us have a King Henry IV coin, which brings us on to King Richard II, which I don't personally have here, so Charles will start us off for Richard II.
I have Richard II. So it's a penny from York, so it's a penny, as just mentioned. A nice, as you can just about see, long cross penny design with the inner bit just out, and a great example for my coin collection.
Next up is King Edward III, and here is my Edward III coin. This is a penny with a long cross from his reign for Edward III.
So we have a coin I'm not too sure about. We believe Edward III, a penny, a long cross penny, but not too sure in 100%, but hopefully a good example of Edward III.
Next up is my Edward III penny.
Next up is Edward II, and here is my Edward II coin. A very small portrait here on this nice cute little Edward II farthing.
Edward II, a farthing from 1307 to 1327, with a good example, a very small example of his portrait, and for this video, a lovely addition to my monarchs.
For my Edward II coin, this is a farthing. As you can see, it is very small.
Next up is King Edward I. Here is my Edward I coin. This is a penny, as you can see here, from the reign of King Edward I, with that long cross design there.
I have an Edward I penny from 1272 to 1307. Great example of a coin and a long cross design.
This is an Edward I penny.
Next up is King Henry III. Now here is my King Henry III coin. Quite a nice portrait there, to be fair. We can see most of the detail. This is on a penny from his reign there. He reigned for over 50 years. A very long reign. And here we have Henry III.
This is a Henry III penny.
Next up we have King John. Now when you get this coin in the right light, you can see my one here, the portrait quite clearly. We can see the moustache, the beard, the nose and such things on this King John penny from his reign for the next monarch along, which is King John.
Here we have John, King John. It's a half penny. So although you can't really see the portrait, you can still see that it's from King John and a great, great design.
Next up would be King Richard I, but none of us have a Richard I coin, bringing us on to King Henry II. And here is my Henry II coin, his portrait there cut in half, as this is a half penny of his reign. But there we go, a coin from the reign in my collection of Henry II.
Here we have a Henry II penny.
Now, we here at Bits and Bobs have a spreadsheet for these monarchs, who has what monarch on the spreadsheet here. And as we can see, the last four are all red. So Stephen, Henry, William II, or Stephen, Henry I, William II, and William I. These oldest four, none of us have. So sadly, we don't have any of these. Here are our totals as of 2025. So Max has 24 out of the 41. Charles has 27 out of the 41, and Ethan, that is me, has 30 out of the 41, and together we have 31 out of 41, so only 10 more to go. Just in time, the video has been finished there, as my phone's almost run out. So there we go, thank you for watching, and a big well done to us personally at the Bits and Bobs team, as we now collectively only have 10 more monarchs to go, to have everyone from William the Conqueror to Charles III. Comment down below how many monarchs you have, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Bits and Bobs.